The micro, in my opinion, is the worst one. Like, it's even worse than the DMG.
Now we can get started with the real tier list.
Too small, because even though I'm a girl, I have big hands for a girl, so it's too small for my hands. I mean, the other two Game Boy Advance models, they can play Game Boy Color and Game Boy games.
We want the diving board of the Game Boy cartridge sticking out of this thing.
Exactly. I want the Game Boy cartridge to be bigger than the entire Game Boy. The last thing, which is most important, that you can barely do any mods to it. Like, I have a USB-C mod, not promoted, but I have it, the guide on my blog.
I want to do this in order of release, but I feel like it's a great segue into talking about the Game Boy Light. Whoever made this tier list put that on there.
I think that's my tier list.
Is it? Is it your tier list?
I think so.
And not to dog on anybody, but like, is the Game Boy Light worth modding?
I mean, I am more in the thing, do whatever you want with whatever you want. It's fun that the screen lights up. I like the shape of it because it is pretty much the same shape as a pocket, but with AA batteries. Even though the screen lights up, it's still not good.
What? I mean, that's kind of just like the fault of the Game Boy Pocket screen. I don't have the knowledge and the brain power like you do to argue it. I'm just like, I think this one looked better.
I'm talking about the original screens now, not the modded screens.
Yeah.
If we're talking modded, you could almost do a whole different tier list.
To me, there's not that much of a difference in my tier list of modded versus unmodded. I would say you have to put the SP up top before going completely stock, just because of the screen alone.
Yeah, see, like, this is where putting the micro in absolute garbage works, because you can't mod it. I'm happy with that there.
Because like we would have to put that higher if we were going completely stock, as much as we hate it.
And it's also stock rechargeable. But okay, I'm saying to put the light, this might annoy people, but in D.
Ooh.
Actually, maybe C. Maybe C, because I like that it's pretty much a pocket.
But better.
With AA's.
It's just a better Game Boy Pocket.
Does that mean we have to put the pocket in D?
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. It's gonna
Okay.
make some people upset, and I can hear the sadness in your voice. Let's move on to the DMG. Kind of want to put this at like B.
I have appointed myself as the head of the DMG hater club. This is because I don't like the way the buttons feel. That's the main thing. The buttons annoy me. But okay, the good things it has going for it is I think it's like the prettiest Game Boy because it's very iconic.
I can agree with that.
And the battery life is really good.
You go from the DMG 4 AA batteries to the Game Boy Pocket with 2 AAAs, and I'm sure the Pocket is way more efficient.
Oh, no way. I seriously think it was like 20 hours into yellow.
Modded or unmodded?
Modded with LEDs and screens.
So you can't beat that.
Yeah.
You can't even do that with like the Switch.
That's true.
Without this guy right here, you don't have the rest of them. Even though I'll tell everybody and their brother that the games are what carried the Game Boy, we have to agree on these rankings. So
I mean, you've got a good point there with the games carrying it. But yeah, DMG goes in B for nostalgia, and because it was only $100, it put gaming into a lot of people's lives that would never have games before.
So Game Boy Pocket time. We put the Game Boy Light at C. It's a better Game Boy Pocket.
I agree too. I agree with that. So you have to put it in D then.
I'm a secret Pocket hater.
2 hours later.
I think we can both agree that we like the Game Boy Color. It's not our favorite model, but like, it's easy to work in, it's comfortable, has a decent battery life, is color screen. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with all that stuff. It's usually the Game Boy that I suggest people start off with if they want to get more in depth into understanding stuff, because it's pretty easy to work with, like you said. So I think it's A.
Also, sorry for stealing every talking point there.
But it's true. It's the Game Boy that I pretty much know the whole system of how the circuit works.
I feel like A is a pretty solid tier, because like, not to get into the next talking point, but like, it being a tall boy instead of a wide boy is probably the biggest thing keeping me from putting it in the S tier. Also, we gotta account for the fact that the Game Boy Color doesn't play advanced games, and it's not like it's anybody's fault. It just came before the Advance, so
It can already play 2 different like Game Boy games and Game Boy Color games, so it's already above the rest.
yeah. I feel like we know each other's preferences on the Game Boys already. I'm not even really having to ask you, and I would be getting this on S tier if I had an actual mouse instead of a trackpad.
I thought you were dropping it in C, and I was gonna get angry.
No, I just ran out of space when I was dragging it up.
Yes, I 100% agree with this. I always say this, that the original Game Boy Advance is the best of all of them for so many reasons.
For the folks at home, keep in mind, we're talking about these as modded and stock. So if you're gonna complain that, oh, the SP isn't as high, I mean, I'm not spoiling that, but the SP isn't as high as the regular Advance, you can't even see the screen. I agree, but we're modders. We mod these things. The Advance is just better. It's more comfortable. I have no idea what the battery life is like. Actually, you know what? It is better. The battery life is definitely better. I feel like right now, all we can really do is compare it to the SP, so we should probably just figure out what rank we will want to put the SP at.
So now let's see what the SP hater is going to rank the SP.
And so like the thing is, we gotta agree on a ranking here.
But the way the carts come out kind of is disgusting.
Yeah.
And you can't use the Game Boy camera on it.
Yeah. Executive decision, and you can fight me on this one. Objectively speaking, again, running out of trackpad space, that's where I'd put the SP.
Isn't that funny? Because it's got my hater built in your hater.
It was a huge innovation for Nintendo with the Game Boy. No one did that. No one had something that compact. No one had... Just kidding. I was going to say no one had a backlight. That's a lie. Sega had that in 1990. They also had extremely poor battery life and bad games. Cancel me.
I feel like I want to have an argument with you to put it up to A.
Ooh.
Game Boy DMG can only play one kind of game, whereas the SP can play everything.
That's fair.
I mean, even the color can at least play 2 different types of games.
This is true. So you wanted to put it down here?
Yeah, actually, I have changed my mind. We can keep it at B because I think it is kind of equally as life-changing or whatever you would groundbreaking as the DMG.
The reason why I have the DMG so high is because it's comfortable.
It's not comfortable. It's a brick.
It's comfortable because it's like, even with the Game Boy Color, it's more comfortable than a lot of the other models, but it's thick enough that I'm not pinching it like I have crab hands. Is the SP B or is it A? I'll let you be the executive decision.
I'm happy for it to be at B.
I'm ecstatic for it to be at B, but I thought we'd be a little more controversial. Maybe we are at putting the SP at B. So let us know in the comments down below what you think of our little tier list. And thank you, Natalie, for coming out to help me with this video. And you can find links to all of Natalie's stuff down below. And you should definitely go follow her because she's an awesome person and way smarter than me. So like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later, guys.
I think that the one they have in, what is it, the Nintendo store in New York, that was in the Gulf War.
Yes.
I think that's fake.
You think that's fake?
Yes, because, okay, you've obviously come across a lot of DMGs, right? When are they ever don't have the polarizer is burnt? You're telling me it got bombed and the polarizer wasn't burnt?
Okay, that's a really, really good point.